Putin is a guy who increasingly thinks in civilizational terms. So think about the catastrophe of the sanctions now, which are really an act of war against Russia. That's not a condemnation of the sanctions, it's just a statement of what they are. They're an attempt, a successful attempt actually, to dismantle the political, economic and social infrastructure of Russia. And insofar as Putin has caused this situation, which he has, he is a man who has dealt a grievous blow to the welfare of his country. He is a great, great, great historical villain from any Russian point of view of sensibility. But he thinks in civilizational terms, and one of the thoughts available to him is the thought that history mills through stuff. And he thinks there is a certain way that history can just mill through the sanctions. Eventually, we'll get over it, give us a century. And when he faces this shock, and it is a shock for him, that information is coming in that Ukrainians are not welcoming him on any level, I don't think that information is fully conveyed to him, but it's conveyed enough for him to be a bit in shock. His answer is, okay, I didn't realize they didn't want this. I didn't realize they that desperately don't want this. But they'll have to get over themselves, give them a century, because the folks around a century from now won't be these folks who got attacked, and then Ukraine will be inside Russia. They'll get over themselves. They'll be fine. If there is any sense of historical continuity here for Putin, it's continuity with the Russian Empire, not with the communist regime. But these are the long-form ways, large-scale civilizational ways in which Putin thinks. And so how does this affect or even inflect his nuclear considerations? And I think it's like this. I think there's a small part of him that sees World War III as something to be avoided at all costs, but nevertheless as something that is the equivalent of taking the board of a game which you've just completely lost and throwing it off the table. All things being considered, he is very strongly pulled against this outcome. He certainly has no death wish. Look at how he wants to be 700 kilometers away from his subordinates to not catch coronavirus, because he's probably been vaccinated but is worried about contracting the virus. So, but there's something there. There's some kind of bizarre, visionary, civilizational thought that says, I'm almost with you guys in the West that this is to be avoided at all costs, but not completely, because there's a part of me that wants to say, let's get this board and topple it. Let's topple it and see what happens. And I think that's only a 5-10% sort of difference to how we think about it. But I do think there is something there. And I think that we should be attending to all these factors as we calibrate our risks. And, calibrating risks doesn't mean minimizing them. We might want to do more to defend Ukraine at a slightly elevated risk as we perceive it. Of course, all these risks can't be calculated. There are uncertainties. So there's no risk-benefit, cost-benefit analysis. But there's something civilizational, very, very long-term, visionary going on with Putin.